Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us to this webinar on business opportunities in the field of digitalization in Sub-Saharan Africa. We are hosting this webinar by the German chambers in Kenya, Nigeria, Zambia, Namibia, and South Africa in cooperation with the Strategic Partnership for Digital Africa. The Strategic Partnership Digital Africa, also called SPDA, is a network made up of the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, companies and associations. Its goal is to harness digital opportunities to drive Africa's development in partnership with German and European companies that may simultaneously gain new revenue streams. But we will learn more about the SPDA later today. However, as the German chambers in Kenya, Nigeria, Zambia, and South Africa, we have identified several business cases in the framework of the SPDA program. The cases offer business opportunities for German products, European products and service providers in the digitalization sectors. So this webinar will provide you with a brief overview of the topic of digitalization in those mentioned countries, as well as examples of those project opportunities in the digital sector. However, before we start with those details, I would quickly like to introduce our chambers and our chamber network organization, provide you with a bit of background about what we do in our countries. And of course, we would like to get to know you a bit better. So let's quickly start with a quick poll, finding out which sector are your companies active in. So please choose of the answers you can find on the screen now. We have started the questionnaire, the poll. There's 6 sectors that you can choose from, which are also the focus sector of the Strategic Partnership for the Strategic Partnership Digital Africa, as well as others if you can't find the sectors that you are active in. I can see there's already quite a lot of responses. Let's just wait couple more seconds if there's additional people joining us, giving up their responses before we end the poll. Currently, it looks like, seems the field is very diverse. I can't see at the moment that there's any sector that's substantially bigger or represented in the group that we're presenting to today. I think it looks like we can end the poll and look at the results. Let us quickly do that. So I think the results have shown that there is companies participating today from various sectors that we have here. Maybe we can quickly show the results on the screen from the poll that we have just taken, just to give an overview of who is represented here today. Or we'll look at the results later today at the end of our webinar. As discussed, I would like to quickly give you an overview of the work that the German chambers are doing in Sub-Saharan Africa. The German chambers is a network that is worldwide represented. We currently have 140 German chamber locations in around about 92 countries worldwide. You see on the slide here, a quick overview. All those yellow dots represent a German chamber office and one of our locations that we're currently representing. But what do we actually do? So I've briefly summarized on this slide the German chamber or AHK mandate. So our overall goal is to advise, support and represent German companies worldwide in foreign countries. So that is about countries that wish to develop or expand their business activities abroad. We are the official representation of the German business community, supported by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Energy, and therefore the official institution of German foreign trade promotion. And our mandate is threefold. That is the services, the trade promotion, and the networking organization that we provide. Services means that we are a service provider to companies Our official service brand that secure our international standard is the DE International, and under this brand we offer market entry support like market studies. We organize several events. We provide business partner searches, trade fair supports. We conduct delegations, first legal advice, and so on. Trade promotion is the way of officially representing the German industry and commerce sector abroad. We promote the interest of our German companies and inform about the German economy, and also vice versa about the countries that we are represented in. And then networking is the third most important pillar of our mandate. We are mainly membership and also networking organizations. On a worldwide level, we currently count about 51,000 companies to our membership network, which give us a huge collective strength to speak on behalf of our members and represent the interests abroad. As you can see, our topic today is the Sub-Saharan region. So on this slide, I've quickly summarized the German chamber offices that we have in Sub-Saharan Africa today, which are offices in Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Angola, and the Southern African Chamber, which has offices in several offices in South Africa, as well as in Zambia and Mozambique. As I've mentioned, we are worldwide active in the German Chamber, representing the German business economy on that level. But with regards to Sub-Saharan Africa, with regards to the business cases that we are representing today, we would like to know from you, what countries are you specifically interested in? So we have prepared another poll, so please choose now. Are you mainly interested in those 5 countries, those 5 digitalization sectors that we are focusing on today, which is Nigeria, Namibia, South Africa, Zambia, or Kenya, or is there's also other countries in Sub-Saharan Africa that your business interests are focusing on? We'll give it a couple of seconds for everyone to respond and choose their answer now. It is possible to choose several responses here. Yeah, I can see there's also every country mentioned in this poll. We have a very diverse picture again. So I think we can't really say that there's any country that sticks out, which is a major focus of everyone. So I'm glad that we have all the countries represented here today, and all the German chambers will be able to cover those countries mentioned. Yeah, with this, just a brief overview of our agenda. So after the short introduction from my side, we will hear, as I mentioned, a bit more information about the Strategic Partnership for Digital Africa, which is presented by Christina Gossmann, a representative of the GIZ. Then we'll go into details with regards to the country profiles and examples of digital business cases, as I've mentioned before. And in the end, we'll allow for questions and answers and look forward to discuss those topics with you. Just some guidance up front before we officially start. There is a chat on the right-hand side of your screen, so please post any questions that you have in the chat. We'll collect those questions and, as I said, answer them during the discussion at the end. So please make use of that. Post anything that you would like to mention, and I think with that we can start. As I said, our first input is more detailed information about the Strategic Partnership Digital Africa, and with those words I would like to hand over to the presenter from the GIZ, Mrs. Christina Gossmann. Christina is also joining us from the GIZ office in Germany today. Christina, we look forward to your input at the presentation about the strategic partnership.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Just making sure. Great. Wonderful. Thank you so much for all being here. And we are very pleased that so many of you have been able to join us for our webinar with the German Foreign Chambers and the Strategic Partnership Digital Africa, and to speak about some of the opportunities, business opportunities that we were able to identify in Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Zambia, and Namibia. And maybe just a few words to give you as an introduction about the strategic partnership Digital Africa. So we are a network of the German Development Corporation and over 150 European companies whose goal it is to create projects in the field of ICT in African countries. So we really aim to unite business needs with development goals. And the goal overall is to drive Africa's development, but all the company partners in our network, the strategic partnership Digital Africa, are also very much encouraged to work in a field that is beneficial to them. So that's why we have also tried to cover exactly those different areas here in this cooperation with the chambers. So the strategic partnership Digital Africa was started in 2015 by Günther Noke, who is the German Chancellor's personal representative for Africa in the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. He's pictured here. And the goal was really, as I mentioned, to try and get more private sector engagement in the IT sector in African countries. So how can we actually find those win-win situations when the private and public sector can work together? With that, we don't have any specific foci on particular countries. The ones that we have worked with here that you will hear about today are obviously very interesting, but in general, we are open to work with in any of the African countries, whether it's Sub-Saharan Africa or North Africa or anywhere else. In our network, we have over 150 partners. Some of them are very large companies, German companies like SAP and Siemens and Merck, but also middle-sized companies as well as some smaller ones and even some startups. The partnership in general is open to all European companies, whether they're German or not. And we're always welcoming new members. So if you are not already a member now, you're welcome to join us. And you'll have our contact information in the end to learn about more what we're doing. And also you're able to invite, you're welcome to invite any colleagues or other companies who might be interested. As I briefly mentioned, the goal here is to find matches between the private sector and development cooperation that will benefit both. And we believe that the benefits for the companies here is that we can actually support project development in African countries, for instance, through corporations like this one, but also provide the exchange with development cooperation in African countries that is very extensive and very much rooted in those different countries. And they just have they have the expertise and knowledge of those markets very much. And the benefits, of course, for us is that we can also learn from private sector companies and their expertise in their fields. In our network, we work in 6 different fields, but that we find promising, which are, as you see here, education, energy, health, good governance, agriculture, and mobility. So we try to actually find business opportunities in all 6 of these fields. And if you're interested in joining or have questions afterwards, please feel free to contact us, and we will provide that information at the end. I think I'm ready to now hand over and hear the introductions to all the different markets that we will discuss today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christina. Thanks for providing the background about the strategic partnership Digital Africa. I think it was quite clear what the goal of the SPDA, what it would like to achieve, the cooperation in the digital sector between the private sector and the development cooperation. And I think it was great to see how many companies are already participating, the huge variety of representatives within that network. And as you mentioned, us as the German chambers, we have identified potential business cases on behalf of the SPDA that provide business opportunities for German or European companies in the digitalization sector. And we would now like to move over to the 5 countries that we have worked on. We'll provide you with short country profiles and an example of the business cases that we have identified. And we'll start in alphabetical order with the market of Kenya, which is represented by the German Chamber office in Kenya, here today by Mara Köberle.
Good afternoon from Nairobi. I'm very happy to be here with you and give you a short introduction to the Kenyan market and the digitalization opportunities. So Kenya is a lower middle income country, one of the largest economies in Eastern Africa, kind of the same size as the Ethiopian economy. We've almost 47 million inhabitants here. And the formal languages are English and Swahili, which makes it quite easy for international businesses because English is kind of used as the main business language. The GDP per capita is around $1,500 per head and per year, which shows as well that Kenya is uprising, but there's still a lot of inequalities. In the ICT market, Kenya is a very interesting destination. Maybe you have heard of M-Pesa, the mobile money application that is very active here in Kenya. So it's actually 44% of the Kenyan GDP that is annually traded or transmitted through that system, which shows that it's not only like a privately used system, but it's like a really important factor of the Kenyan economy as such. What's outstanding in Kenya is that there's a very high internet penetration of almost 90%, while in all Sub-Sahara Africa, it's 35%. Over 99% of the internet users access the internet via smartphones, which is important to know for companies who want to move in the sector here, because websites or offers have to be smartphone optimated to be relevant for the clients here. On the Digital Evolution Index, the momentum score, Kenya ranked number 4 of the countries, which says there are a lot of challenges still to overcome, but it's one of the very innovative and fast developing markets. 95% of the Kenyan households have at least one M-Pesa account, which shows that the penetration of fintech in general and as well the acceptance is very high. Compared to that, only 7% of Kenyans have a credit card, which leads as well to companies, for example, like Uber, the shared taxi application from the US, allowing in Kenya to pay via M-Pesa or cash to have access to the market. Growth drivers in the ICT sector are m-commerce, fintech, and big data. The ICT Minister of Kenya just appointed a special committee for big data and machine learning and AI. So there's a lot of discussions and things happening in Kenya. Coming to the trends and challenges, it is still to note that there's a digital divide. So further government action is needed to increase stable access to the internet. And as well to educate people better in IT solutions, because data show that the actual knowledge is not very high, although everybody, of course, uses the internet. There's a startup ecosystem or digitalization ecosystem in Kenya, which is dubbed the Silicon Savannah. There's a lot of companies from like Zuckerberg Foundation and others, Google, Andela, investing here in Kenya. But it's still important to know that more than 70% of the startups don't earn enough to even sustain the living cost of their small team. So it's again a very wide picture. So there are a lot of startups. There's a lot of movement in the sector. A lot of people are entrepreneurs there, but not everybody can actually make a living out of that. Infrastructure-wise, there's some interesting developments. So some public-private partnerships, for example, in the rollout of 4G services in Kenya, have been very successful. And analysts say that that might lead the way for the future of the sector. This year, the new government allocated $220 million for the ICT sector, to enable the Big Four government agenda. It's kind of the development plan for the next 4 years. And that allocation shows like a slight increase from the last year. Together with the SPDA, or 40 member companies of the SPDA, we identified several business cases that give concrete opportunities for German or European companies to be active in Kenya and find business partners here. Today, I want to present a very recent case about insurance. It's in the medical sector, and it's about digital claim management and digitalization of insurance services. We have a new legislative framework in Kenya that asks all medical insurance companies to go paperless by next year, which of course increases a bit the pressure on the sector, but as well opens a lot of business opportunities and that. So some research my team did showed that there's insurances that have up to 7,000 claims per day with around 3 pages to print, which already makes it 28,000 pages to print daily. So we are looking for potential partner companies for the digitalization of that services, for claim management, but as well in the field of pharmaceutical code, for data cross-check and for prevention of fraud. For example, it's quite common in Kenya that people try to get medical services on the insurance of other people. So their biometric solutions and other identification systems might offer a solution there. So if you're interested in this field, I hope you can get in touch with me. But we have as well a lot of business leads in different other sectors like education or transport and mobility. And my team is happy to support you in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mara, and thank you for the input and details about the digitalization sector in Kenya and also for preparing this example. I think this shows nicely where Kenya stands with regards to digitalization, what has already been reached. As you mentioned, it is quite a hub for those technological developments. However, also how diverse it is and what opportunities it offers for German and European companies that would like to get active in that sector. So you mentioned that to please get in touch if someone is interested in doing business in Kenya with regards to digitalization. At the end of our 5 company presentations, we'll show a slide with all the presenters of today, their contact details, so you will be able to see who has been part of this webinar today and who to contact if you have an interest in entering a cooperation with regards to that. Our next country is Namibia, which we have been covered here from the German Chamber for Southern Africa. So I myself will hold the presentation and give you further details about digitalization in Namibia and an example of the business opportunities that arise in that regard. Namibia is a country with 2.3 million inhabitants on just over 820,000 square kilometers. So you can see the rate of inhabitants per square kilometer is quite low. We also have a lower middle income country here. Namibia is a country which has English as a business language, as well as Afrikaans, German, the strong German ties, and several African languages, which makes it nicely approachable for German companies that would like to do business with Namibia. Also, given the history, there are very strong ties to Germany and its currently existing business community, as well as a strong involvement of other German organizations like the GIZ for Development Corporation, the KfW Bank, the German Chambers, German embassies, and so on. When we're looking at the digitalization sector in Namibia, full network coverage is quite difficult. I mentioned the rate of inhabitants per square kilometer is very low. So due to the size of the country and the difficulty to have an infrastructure that covers the whole country, the full network coverage is still something that Namibia is struggling with. Nevertheless, there is a steady increase in mobile uses and especially mobile applications. There's an increasing coverage of 3G and even 4G within the country. And one that counts for Namibia is definitely the low prices, specifically compared to other African countries. Namibia offers very competitive rates for internet usages, specifically with regards to mobile phones. The development of the digitalization sector in Namibia is also part of the national strategy. It includes the integration of the ICT in all sectors to promote e-commerce and innovation. So the government has identified ICT and the necessary investment of support of those private initiatives as a key to transform the Namibian economy. So the government is aware of the development that needs supposed to happen in those areas. It supports those initiatives on a government level with government investment, and there's also private initiatives that receive support in that regard. And due to that, there's increasing opportunities to reinvent the sector and specifically improve the service delivery with regards to that. Just that as a bit of a background to where Namibia stands and where Namibia also wants to go and see itself in the future. And I've also picked one project opportunity that we have identified as part of the program that we have run in the last couple of weeks, which might offer an opportunity for a German company or European company that can offer a solution in that regard. We have here the need for an inventory management system by the Namibian Breast Milk Bank. The background, the first Namibian Breast Milk Bank opened in 2017, so not so long ago. It offers safe pasteurized solution for mothers who cannot supply, for example, due to risk factors like infections, if babies had to be hospitalized just after birth, and due to, as I said, the vast distances in the country, it is just too far for the mother to take care of that child herself. The Namibian Breast Milk Bank is a registered non-profit organization. It is registered as well as certified by the Ministry of Health, which means it is officially recognized within the country. The Breast Milk Bank is up and running. However, a database is required to register and track donations, follow up on the document processes, do the accounting for the bank, as well as other functions. Therefore, there has been a business need for a fully integrated inventory management system that includes the quality control, logistics, the development of an app for the donors that then can follow up on their donations, which means a system and an inventory management for the whole value chain of this process. A partner that would like to provide a solution needs to have experience in developing smart databases and inventory management system. And the project is already partly funded by private donors. The medical insurers have confirmed that they will pay for the product consumption. So there is a huge need, a huge demand that needs to be met. And there's also financial viability with regards to anyone that says, okay, I can provide a solution for that. I would like to get involved into this project and would like to support the Namibian Breast Milk Bank to have the management system in place that they need to go on with this development. As Mara mentioned before, I'm here for anyone that has an interest in the Namibian market, in this specific projects, but also other projects that we have identified within the SPDA program to be a business opportunity for anyone within the European market that provides a digital solution. Thank you very much. We're moving then on to the next country profile and business case. We're having the German Chamber from Nigeria also participating in this webinar. Mrs. Lotte Goos will give us further details about the Nigerian market and the opportunities there. I'm not sure if Lotte can hear us. She is based in Nigeria and will present on the digitalization and the opportunities here.
Okay, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Perfect. Wonderful. Good afternoon from Lagos, Nigeria. Like the two previous countries, I'd like to give you a quick overview of the recent market development, of digitalization, and present a few business opportunities that we've been working on. I actually head the Department of Digitalization at the AHK Nigeria. So we're very excited that since last year, we have our very own department for these topics. We've showcased about 10 examples for the SPDA, but we're always happy to work with you on whatever you're interested in. And we've been scouting the sector for some time now, and there really is a lot of very interesting potential. Nigeria has about 98 million internet users and adds about 6 million new ones every year. According to the 2017 Mobile Trends Report, Nigeria is the world's most mobilized country with about 142.6 million active mobile lines. So it's a gigantic market. It's a 74% mobile penetration that we're talking about, and 91.5 million mobile internet users. So if you're talking about digital solutions that have a mobile component, the market, they're about 91.5 million mobile internet users, which speaks for itself. There are particularly dynamic developments in the healthcare sectors and the digital skills training. Digital skills training is interesting because now you can actually access a lot of English-speaking young talent. So whatever solutions are being built here, there are quite a few firms that are training young people now, and it makes it a very interesting market, and has also recently attracted a lot of international investors. Those are also two sectors, healthcare and so skills training, where we've been quite active from the German side. The Germans have a long tradition of vocational training in Nigeria. Healthcare companies, some have been mentioned before, are also very active here, and those are particularly interesting sectors. But there's also a very strong focus on fintech and e-commerce. Fintech in particular has attracted the interest of international investors, particularly American ones. One of the big names right now in fintech is Flutterwave. They are actually working with German partners as well, and they're now part of the Y Combinator and have in their latest round attracted $10 million in funding. So we're really talking big potential right now. In terms of e-commerce, Nigeria has the biggest market on the African continent. I want to showcase one particular example, but I'm more than happy to talk about any other ones that companies come across. Babangona is a partner that has been doing very interesting work in the agricultural sector in Nigeria. They've worked with the World Bank, with the Global Innovation Fund, and have helped about 20,000 farmers by now to increase their net income by 2.8 times. And they want to go beyond mere sort of agricultural activities and use their network to also spread energy solutions. We find that a particularly interesting partner for energy solutions because they've proven that they have such a strong network. And so the approach they want to take, it's in the early stages, this particular project, and it's still open to partners, is to use their to help their partner, help the farmers become financially included, open accounts, and build a financial solution to help distribute the solar energy in rural communities. Let me go to the next slide to showcase, to show a few more of the projects that we've showcased. A lot of them are in the education sector. I mentioned that we have a long-standing long-standing experience in the education sector. some center around educating women, some center around digital skills. We've actually become quite active in also training female software engineers. Then we have an example from a case from road infrastructure monitoring for drones, where a partner is looking for partners on training drone pilots. We have a healthcare example in a healthcare project in here, a company that builds mobile clinics that are easily accessible to doctors that usually don't get loans from banks here. So it's really hard to build a clinic, and these clinics can easily be rented by doctors. We have an energy dashboard that a partner is planning to build, where they're still looking for expertise. So we have a selection of different projects, and I'm more than happy to talk about them in more detail if any of them attract interest.
Thank you very much, Lotte, and thank you for the input with regards to where Nigeria stands in digitalization, specifically also with regards to the recent development. So there seems to be quite a focus of that country to move forward in that area, and of course, vast opportunities that arise in that regard. We will move further south again to the country of South Africa, and our colleague René Zaske will present on that. I'm not sure if everyone can hear René. René is also based here at our head office in Johannesburg. Let's just quickly double check if his sound is working and everyone can hear René him presenting on South Africa.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Fantastic. Yeah, good afternoon and a very, very warm welcome here from Johannesburg in South Africa. And I'm more than happy to present the South African market when it comes to digitalization and to present a couple of projects. So talking about digitalization in South Africa, I just would like to give a quick overview about the market development. South Africa ranks highest on the African continent in terms of its digital maturity. I think this is not a big surprise when we have a look into compare South Africa to the other countries in Africa. Nevertheless, do we have a look from a global perspective and from a global context, we can see that even South Africa is still classified in the category of digital novice, meaning that most of the companies are at the beginning of their digitalization process, and the stage of digitalization is on an earlier stage compared to other Western countries. We do not have any huge digital champions among South African companies, and I think this is why the market is very interesting for potential German partners, as the industry is in this regard, in a global context, not that mature. Nevertheless, we can see that South Africa is very, very well positioned in terms of skills, connectivity. We have a great access to the internet, and the digital infrastructure is exemplary and much better compared to the average of the continent. Just having a look to the graphic on the right side, it's a quick country analysis where we can see that South Africa is basically almost in every single category more advanced than the average on the continent. That brings me to my next slide, where I just want to show a couple of opportunities. So here in South Africa, we have cases from AgriSA, OnCloud, Sarabi, EduPark, Hope Cape Town, and B Brown here located in South Africa. On the next slide, we can see the projects in particular, and I don't want to get too deep into it. I just want to give an overview that our cases here in South Africa are covering a lot of industries, for example, education, mining, agriculture, and healthcare. On the last slide, I would like to present the case, which I think is very interesting and might catch your interest and will be very interesting for potential German partners. The case is from the mining industry, and we have the situation in the mining industry that there's a heavy use of diesel machinery underground. Those diesel machines are contributing to bad air underground, and it contributes to very high level values of toxins, which are not good for the employees who are working underground. So what is the current situation? The current situation is that those diesel machines, when a diesel machine is not working properly anymore, or it's damaged, then we can just see it 2 weeks after the machinery was already pulling out all those toxins underground. And now we, a South African company, like a small IT company, software solution company, worked on a real-time analysis where we can see the measurement in real time, and where we can actually go underground, and we can see which machinery is not working properly, and we can take it out of the operations. And all of this is working with like a very particular technology, which is provided by the South African company. Why is it important for this project? Because for now, the South African company is working together with the machinery company Deutz, and they are looking for more and more machinery companies within Germany who are open to implement this kind of technology on the machineries which are used underground here in the mining industry in South Africa. They also planned to expand their business to other countries such as Zambia, Zimbabwe and Namibia, but for now they are focusing on South Africa. And we hope that a couple of other partners are getting into the game, because the story with Deutz is already a success story, and it makes, in the end of the day, the mining sector underground for the employees safer and healthier. That's from my side from South Africa. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, René, for the input about South Africa. I think from the number of projects, we can see that there's a lot happening in the South African market, and a lot of business opportunities are available for everyone that is interested to enter a cooperation there. Just before we move on to Zambia, I would just like to remind everyone to please use the chat function for any questions you might have. After this last presentation, we will enter a discussion round to answer all your questions that you have with regards to what we're presenting here today. And with those words, I would like to then hand over to my colleague Johannes Kurt, who is joining us virtually from the office in the German Chamber office in Zambia, and will provide some details about digitalization in Zambia and the business opportunities there. Thank you, Johannes.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Leah. I hope everyone can hear me. Zambia is the latest office that has been opened in the Southern African German Chamber of Commerce and Industry Network. We started the operation here in early 2016. I've saw from the poll that 15% are interested in the Zambian market. I hope that I can increase that number over the next 3 slides, giving you some insights in the field of digitalization. When we started the office here, or opened the office, we saw a dynamic in the field of e-governance and the digitalization of public services. The president came into office in August 2016, and one of his focus sectors was the field of e-governance and digitalization of public services. At one point, he said that e-governance shall be his legacy. We jumped on that train and tried to offer some consultancy and bring companies from Germany to Zambia to have a look into the sector. We did quite successfully in the first German-Zambian Business Forum, where we highlighted opportunities for e-governance in the field of e-governance. And as a spill-off to the business forum, in cooperation with the GIZ and the so-called Smart Zambia Institute, a roadmap for the decentralization of e-government services and solutions was discussed and established in a series of workshops. And this will be finalized in the next weeks. And we think that there shall be some pilot projects that will be started and also financed by the government in that field, which is interesting for German companies as well. There are a number of other international players busy in that field, such as the World Bank and the EU delegation here. Both of them will start bigger projects in the field of e-governance. World Bank with a volume of 30 million, the rumors say. The EU a bit smaller, but both programs will definitely offer opportunities for the private sectors. And also from the German side, the GIZ, there will be tenders out in the field of tax, bulk data information systems in the years to come. So in the field of public services, Zambia is definitely a place to look at. Also in the private sector, we had a look at business opportunities that are there, and I want to present two of them briefly. One that you see on the right-hand side of this slide is BroadPay. It's a financial service provider that already has quite an extent network in Lusaka, the capital of Zambia, but also the major cities of the Copper Belts with 200 self-service stations and a number of, let me check, 1,000 BroadPay service agents. And they offer a wide range of services to the citizens, which is money transfers, airtime purchase, mobile money, and you can buy Zesco, which is our Zesco units. This is our electricity provider here in Zambia, as well as pay TV services. So already quite well established, but looking for opportunities to, on the one hand side, extend their services to mobile financial services. Banking services on the one hand side, and then also an enlargement of the network. So a possible partner should bring to the table expertise in the mobile financial service department, or someone who's interested to partner in form of a joint venture to roll out BroadPay in Zambia. Second opportunity is the company Matrix Blackbox. It's a tracking device developed in Zambia and interestingly manufactured in Kenya. It's a tracking device for, at the moment, laptops, but also aiming at, if the technology can be improved to a certain extent, to mobile phones. It is working with a SIM card slot that is enabling the communication through tracking with GPS, and I think it's an interesting partner.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but it seems like we might have lost the voice over from our colleague in Zambia. There is definitely then still some room for the improvement of the digitalization sector. I think this is just a great example of the opportunities that still can be found in the country of Zambia over there. I think with those words, I would just like to thank Johannes for his input. He has presented the projects that are available there. We have concluded the presentations about the 5 countries that we have analyzed and where we have identified potential business cases for European companies that would like to get involved in a digitalization project that combines private sector initiatives, and the goals of the development cooperation. As I mentioned before, we were using the chat function now to enable a discussion around what we have presented to you today. So please post your questions. We will then put the colleague with regards to the project or the country that you're interested in live so that they can answer you directly. I don't know if we were maybe able to already collect some questions during the seminar that were asked. I saw a couple of questions related to the slides that we were presenting here today. Yes, definitely. Due to the registration that was necessary to the seminar, we will distribute the slides, including all the contact details of the people that have presented to you today. And I just see that all the questions that were posted during the presentations were already answered. So I'll give you a couple of more minutes or seconds to think about something that you would still like to ask you today. Other than that, I already saw that some people say, okay, I'll get in touch with you directly. Please look at your emails. I think this is very good thing to do if you have an interest in a business case, if you have interest in the digitalization sector of a specific country. The presentation now shows you again all the names and contact details related to the information that was presented here today. If there's no further question, I'll just take it that it was very clear and concise presentations that we had here today, and I just recommend to please get in touch directly with the contact people that you see here today. In addition to that, I would also like to raise your attention to a website related to the project that we have done here, which is www.themissinglink.eu. On this website, you will find all the details and all the business cases and many more that we have presented here today. But not only that, I would also like to say, if there's any additional cases, any suggestions you have with regards to the research that you have done, with regards to the work of the Strategic Partnership Digital Africa, please contact us. So the information you will find on the missing link will also maybe just provide you with an overview of the business opportunities that have been identified up to today. But if there's from your side any suggestions of cooperation, anything that you would like to mention, please get in touch with us or also the representatives of the Strategic Partnership Digital Africa to discuss with us, to speak about it with us. I see there has a question been coming in. How does the Strategic Partnership Digital Africa support German-made digital innovations to support access to energy in Sub-Saharan Africa? I think this is a question that our representative from the GIZ, Christina Gossmann, should answer. So I would like to hand that question over to her that she can answer that question directly. Christina?
Hello, Mr. Fischer. Thank you for your question.
Christina, you're live now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. So thank you for the question, Mr. Fischer. That's a really good question. And I'm happy to put you in touch with our energy expert on the team to discuss further, Nils Biermann, since we have these 6 different topic groups. We're actually have dedicated project managers for different topics, but we have a number of different projects in line. One actually right now in Nigeria around energy access, but also many others. So I think that could be a good bilateral conversation.
Thank you very much, Christina. Mr. Fischer, I hope that answers your question. So she will connect you with the right people to provide for details. Yes, I can see. Thanks for this. Happy to connect. Glad we answered your question. I see there's another question that has come in from Mr. Reif with regards to the Namibian market. He's asking that there was an e-learning platform presented at the SPDA Day in Berlin, if there are more details available now. Yes, I will be able to provide you with details in that regard. We have had further communication with the project partner in Namibia. So I do have your contact details from the registration here through the webinar today, and I will get in touch with you and send you further details about that project, and the project opportunity is still available. Okay, then there is, thank you, it is my pleasure. Another question, do you have any SPDA initiatives going on in Ghana too? I would suggest that maybe Christina answers in that regard. So Ghana was not included in the project identification that we've done with regards to that program, but maybe Christina can elaborate a bit more on the coverage of the SPDA and what the activities related to the Ghanaian market are at the moment.
Absolutely. Thank you for this question. So as I said in the beginning, we are not focusing on any particular countries on the continent or even a region. So we definitely are always looking for to engage on projects everywhere. So Ghana is a very promising market as well. There are a few initiatives there. To be honest, in Ghana, to my knowledge, most of them were regional and not to Ghana specifically, but we're always open. So the way we develop projects is either through a specific demand that we identify on the German development side. In this case, we would speak to our colleagues in Ghana and see what are the partner countries, what are the Ghanaian countries' demands for digital solutions and what areas, and then reach out to our company network. Or it can go the other way around too. So when we find that maybe your company even, Ms. Manto, would have a solution that they would think that is really of interest to Ghana, then we can start the conversation and connect you to our colleagues on the ground. So yes, we definitely also have initiatives in West Africa beyond Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Christina. I hope that answers the question. Do we have any more questions that we should take at this moment? As I said, we will send out the slides and all the contact details to be able to get in touch directly with all the presenters here today and elaborate further on what was presented and what is in addition to that available, or what can still be developed within the framework of the SPDA program. Yeah, I see already that people are connecting with each other via email. Yeah, I think then I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone that participated in this webinar here today. We look forward to work with you. We look forward to get in touch on an individual basis and develop further cooperation in the area of private sector and development cooperation. So thank you very much for your participation and have a great day further.